So this video is part of a series of videos having to do with brainwave patterns, especially in regards to the peaceful self process, yoga, meditation, and consciousness studies, and this one is on delta brainwave patterns. So a quick review. What are brainwaves? We know now that the brain emits electrical pulses which are measured per second. And these pulses are measured by an EEG, an electroencephalogram. And as the cycles per second, the CPS, speed up or slow down, the rate of our thoughts are said to speed up or slow down along with variations in our moods. And in general, there are 5 types of brain waves. We go over very briefly here because I have a more in-depth video on each one of these. The first has to do with beta, which is 13 to 30 cycles per second, and that's when we're busily engaged in activities and conversations. Alpha, which is 8 to 12 cycles per second, where we are more relaxed, dreamy, into things like mindfulness, meditation, visioning, imagining. Theta, 4 to 7 cycles per second, where we are drowsy and drifting into sleep or deeper meditation. And delta, 3 to 5 cycles per second, some say it's 0 to 3, where we are deeply asleep, not dreaming, and in deep meditation, even samadhi. And gamma, which is 31 to 120 cycles per second, where the brain seems to be much more sped up actually, but it's sped up in a particular kind of way. It's in the zone, in the flow, it's hyper learning, super creative, but in a very flowing, highly intuitive, spontaneous, synthetic way. And this is also a zone where a lot of compassion and empathy emerges. So let's look at some of the benefits of delta brain waves. They're the slowest brain waves, and they oscillate on average between 3 to 5 cycles per second. Now, some literature makes it even slower, 0 to 3 cycles per second. And they are produced during the deepest stages of sleep, what's often called deep dreamless sleep. And benefits include heartbeat regulation, improved kidney and digestive functioning, the production of human growth hormone, improved sleep that helps to lower stress, and better functioning of the immune system to help heal disease. And so in all of these examples, there seems to be something going on to where the consciousness that we are, the peaceful self that we are, is abstracting, withdrawing itself from the body so that the body is able to shut down and regenerate, rejuvenate itself. And that's what helps with having less stress the next day, with the immune system, helping to heal or even prevent disease, helping to have the different parts of the body come back into harmony and balance. And it also has an anti-aging effect because we have more restorative sleep, and also because we have that important human growth hormone being produced in our bodies as well. You know, it's that feeling when you wake up in the morning of being deeply rested, and sometimes you can even feel deeply at peace, as if you are yourself again, your peaceful self again. Delta brainwave patterns can lead to a better mood throughout the day, which also can lead to a better sense of feeling connected to others, that deeper feeling of oneness, that sense of empathy and compassion for others. You're better able to get into what other people feel and think and need, be more sensitive and aware. And it gives you a greater access to intuition when you come out of the delta state. In many ways, this state is like going into a samadhi experience. And it gives you an overall improved sense of well-being, including a deeper sense of inner contentment and peace. So we can see how important delta brainwave functioning is for our overall well-being and sense of who we are as that peaceful self. So if you want to activate delta, then the first thing you need to do is avoid the computers, cell phones, or watching TV or movies late at night, and if possible, completely remove them from your bedroom. If you can't do that, at least make sure they're all shut off. And if you're going to watch anything, ideally 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed, try and make it uplifting. Try to make it something that's going to get you into a higher state of consciousness. There is such a thing as sleep yoga, dream yoga, and lucid dreaming, which are all ways to help use this very precious time of your life. We spend about a third of our lives in this sleep dream state, and we can learn how to use that consciously to help us get into higher levels of consciousness and to help us be more of our peaceful self. We also want to avoid caffeine, energy drinks, stimulants, alcohol, marijuana, any heavy foods, and also exercise at least 4 to 5 hours before bedtime. Why? Because caffeine, energy drinks, and stimulants help put you into beta, which you don't want to be in a high level of beta while you're trying to shut down and get into delta. Alcohol and marijuana and heavy foods will put you more into alpha. You don't want to be in alpha as you get ready to go to bed. You want to easily get into theta and then delta. So you don't want any of these things, ideally 4 to 5 hours before you go to sleep. If you're going to listen to music, best to only listen to soothing sounds, nature sounds, or music programmed to help you get into delta brainwave states. If you are getting older and it's more difficult to get into delta because of an aging brain or problems with your hormones, you can take melatonin or DHEA, which is a hormone, as needed, and ideally, especially with DHEA, get your levels checked and make sure that you're using the correct amount. A really good way to get into delta is to establish a regular pattern of sleep. Try to go to sleep at a certain time and wake up at a certain time. As you go to sleep, have a sleep ritual set up for yourself, whether it's taking a shower or a bath or meditating, listening to soothing music. Try and have some sort of ritual set up to help you get into delta states. And this is also part of sleep yoga, dream yoga, lucid dreaming. There's a preparation process. Start to see this time as very valuable time for your spiritual practice. Learn to enter and work with it consciously. Make sure you sleep in as dark a room as possible. That's also very important, and try and insulate noise as much as possible. And it's not even a good idea to wake up to an alarm clock. If you have to wake up and you can't program yourself to simply wake up at a certain time, which many people do, I do. I haven't used an alarm clock in decades. I simply tell myself to wake up and I wake up. If you can, don't allow those jarring sounds in the morning. If you have to have something to help you wake you up, make sure it's gently taking you out. Another way to enter delta is to learn how to meditate at the deepest levels of meditation, especially getting into samadhi. And there are examples of people who in meditation get into delta where they seemingly are asleep and yet can come out of it at will and even be aware of what was going on in the room while they were in the delta state, similar to people that have near-death experiences. You can also practice yoga nidra before sleep, and there's a separate video that I have on that. So it may sound strange, but is it possible to have too much delta? I mean, it seems like such a good thing. Well, yes, it is. Because when you have too much delta activated, you're likely to have learning difficulties, as focusing is very difficult for you. You just keep nodding off to sleep. Maybe you fall asleep at times when you don't want to. You have trouble focusing, so you may have difficulty learning, and this can even be severe in the form of ADHD. And as I said, you may drift off to sleep at irregular times when it's not a good idea to. And in many ways, life seems too much like a dream where you're not able to focus or be very productive when you need to be. Life goes by as if you're in a haze with no sense of purpose or direction. And if you have any of these symptoms, it's best to get tested and see what may be going on with you. You can also have too little delta, those sleepless nights when no matter how hard we try, we just can't shut the brain and mind down. When you have too little delta, your body cannot fully rest and get into that restorative mode. And when you're not fully rejuvenated, you will be more stressed the next day. Also, your intuitive capacities will be lowered, along with your ability to have compassion and empathy for yourself and others. All those benefits of delta won't be there, which is why it's important to learn how to cultivate delta so that you can get it as you need to. That's why it's important to set up ideal circumstances for delta brainwaves to arise. It's also why as a society, especially in Western civilization, one of the biggest health benefits we could do is to create an environment where delta sleep is more viable. We are overworking people. We're putting them in environments that are too stressful, too noisy. It's too difficult to get dark in the room so that they can actually sleep. We've got to, as a society, if you want to save money on health cost, here's one of the best ways to do it. Let people rest. Let people have regular sleep cycles. Let people have peaceful environments to go to sleep in. These are all important things because delta is so, so essential. That's it, your brief overview on delta brainwave states. If you want to learn a little bit about me, here is a little bit about who I am, followed by how to reach me.